Ever get that feeling like you're learning something new, going through examples, feeling good about it, then later it's all just a blur?
Oh, yeah, totally. Happens all the time.
Well, today we're diving into that, how we learn new categories from examples. And you found some really cool research about a technique called interleaving.
Yeah, this one's really interesting, gets at the heart of how we learn effectively. I mean, we've all been there staring at those flashcards, trying to keep things straight in our heads.
For sure.
This study, published in the Educational Psychology Review back in 2022, looked at whether just understanding this method, interleaving, can actually change how we learn and help us grasp new information better.
Okay, so the researchers, Yuki-san, Aike Shi, Wenbo Zhao, and their crew from Beijing Normal University and University College London, they weren't just asking if interleaving works, right?
Right, they were going deeper.
It sounds like they wanted to see if we can actually learn how to learn better, which I'm all about.
Exactly. They wanted to see if they could, like, correct this common belief, almost like an instinct, about the best way to study. And for you, always looking for those smarter ways to learn, not get bogged down in information overload, this research offers some real practical stuff.
Love that.
It's all about understanding how our brains make sense of and categorize information.
Love it. So let's get into it. What exactly is interleaving? Can you give me a picture? Let's say I'm trying to learn the difference between, oh, I don't know, Impressionist and Post-Impressionist paintings. How would that work?
All right, imagine this. With interleaving, you'd look at a Monet, that's Impressionist, then a Van Gogh, Post-Impressionist, then maybe back to a Degas, Impressionist again, and then a Seurat, Post-Impressionist. So you're jumping back and forth.
Gotcha. Okay. So not how I'd probably do it, which is like spending an hour on Monet, all those blurry brush strokes and light, then a solid block of Van Goghs, all those swirling colors.
Exactly. That's what we call blocked or masked presentation. You group similar examples together, study those, then move on to the next category.
Which, I don't know about you, but it feels really focused, like you're mastering one thing at a time.
Yeah, you feel like you're building that solid foundation.
Right. So the paper talks about this interleaving effect on inductive learning. What's that all about? Why is mixing it up supposedly better for learning and understanding these categories?
Well, research consistently shows that with interleaving, your brain is forced to really distinguish between the categories.
Yeah.
When you see a Monet right after a Van Gogh, you're instantly comparing and contrasting the brushwork, the colors, the subject. This makes you really understand the unique parts of each style, much more than studying them separately.
That makes sense.
It's like your brain is getting quizzed on the differences constantly.
So this is really interesting to me because honestly, I've totally thought I was making more progress by just focusing on one thing until I felt like I got it.
Yeah,
It feels more efficient. But is that feeling kind of misleading?
that feeling, that's exactly what the researchers called a metacognitive illusion. We often think we're learning better in that blocked way because we feel fluent. Everything starts to feel familiar within that block.
A metacognitive illusion. Love it. Okay, go on.
Think about it like binge watching a show. You feel like you know those characters so well. But try remembering specific plot points from early episodes a week later. You might struggle.
Oh, for sure.
Blocked practice is similar. That immediate familiarity doesn't always mean you understand it deeply or can tell the difference between similar concepts.
In outer space.
And learners often prefer it because of this feeling, even though it might be a false sense of mastery.
Wow, so our brains are tricking us, saying we're learning better one way when really another way is more effective. That's huge.
It is, yeah.
So with this disconnect, what were these researchers trying to do? What were their goals?
They had a few. First, they wanted to see if they could tackle this mistaken belief, this illusion, by teaching people about interleaving, why it works.
Okay, interesting.
Second, they wanted to see if this would actually lead people to choose interleaving on their own when they studied.
So change their habits.
Yeah. And third, really important, they wanted to see if this shift would actually lead to better learning, a better ability to learn and understand new categories.
Okay, so could they actually change people's minds and how they studied? What else were they looking at?
They were also curious about how long these positive effects lasted. Would
Yeah.
people stick with interleaving? And finally, they looked at transferability. Could understanding interleaving in one area help you learn better in a totally different area?
Oh, interesting.
Like if you learn it with painting styles, would it help you learn, say, different types of economic models?
That's a powerful idea. It's about learning how to learn, not just getting better at one specific thing. So how did they test all of this? What did these experiments look like?
They did 4 experiments, each designed to look at these questions in a slightly different way. Generally, one group would get explicit instruction about interleaving. They'd explain the research, maybe even show data comparing it to block practice. Then they'd compare this group to a control group that didn't get the instruction.
Makes sense.
They used different tasks, like categorizing birds or solving math problems.
Interesting. And what was the main takeaway? What did they find overall?
The big finding was that this teaching intervention really worked. People who learned about interleaving understood why it works better.
That's great.
Importantly, they were more likely to choose it when studying. And, this is key, they generally did better on the learning tasks, showing they were better at learning and categorizing new information.
That's so encouraging. It means that even just understanding why a technique works can change our approach and our results.
It can.
And for anyone who wants the details, all the data and stuff is available online, right?
Yeah, it's all out there.
On the Open Science Framework, you can find it at osf.ioc/KDZ9. Great resource if you want to see it for yourself. So let's go back to those goals. You said they looked at whether the effects lasted. What did they find?
Experiment 2 focused on that specifically. They found that the positive effect, the preference for using interleaving, lasted for at least 24 hours after the instruction.
So it wasn't just a quick temporary thing.
No, it stuck around.
That suggests there's something there, at least in the short term. What about transferability? Did understanding interleaving in one place help in totally different situations?
Yeah, they looked at that in experiments 3 and 4, and the results were promising. They found that the benefits of understanding and using interleaving did transfer to learning categories in other areas.
That's what we like to hear.
So someone who learned about it while studying, say, types of mushrooms, they were more likely to use and benefit from interleaving when they were learning grammar rules in a new language.
Wow, that's great.
It wasn't just a trick that worked for one specific type of material.
That's huge for someone like me, and I bet for you listening too, who's always jumping between different things they're trying to learn.
For sure.
It's a bigger principle, not just a one-time strategy. Now, there was this note in the paper about single interleaved artist selection. What was that about, and why is it important?
Oh, that's a good point. It's a practical thing. They pointed out that if someone decided to interleave by just focusing on one artist, say Van Gogh, and they were learning about 12 artists, all of Van Gogh's paintings would basically end up being studied in a blocked format.
Ah, okay. Because there aren't any other artists' works to mix in with them.
Right.
It seems obvious when you say it, but it's a really important point for anyone who's thinking about using this.
It is. It highlights that when you're trying to use interleaving, you need at least 2 different categories or concepts to switch between. Otherwise, it's not really interleaving.
Right, right. Okay, we've talked about what interleaving is, why it works, how understanding it can change how we learn. Let's bring it back to the listener. What are the key takeaways here?
The main thing is this. We often think that focused practice, blocked practice is best, but the evidence says that mixing things up, interleaving different examples or concepts, leads to better learning, deeper understanding, and better memory.
And it lasts longer, too, which is what we all want.
Exactly. And what's really cool is this research shows that by getting why interleaving is good, we can actually overcome that feeling we get from blocked practice, that feeling that we're mastering it, and use better strategies.
And those benefits stick around, helping you learn better in all kinds of areas.
Yeah.
And for you, always wanting to learn efficiently, thoroughly, without getting lost, this research gives you a real strategy.
It does.
It's about working with how your brain learns, not just trying to power through blocks of similar stuff.
Absolutely. It's about pushing past that initial comfort of mastering one thing before moving on and embracing that little bit of challenge of constantly comparing and contrasting.
Which makes sense when you think about it. That's what makes it stick in the long run. So, as you think about your own learning, whether it's prepping for that big presentation, getting into a new hobby, or just learning new things, think about this. How could you use more interleaving? What areas would benefit from this mixed practice approach?
It's something to consider as you keep learning. Think about where you're a learner right now. Where could you add some variety in your study sessions? What connections and differences might pop up as you start interleaving?
Exactly.
It could really open up some new understanding.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure. Always fun to explore these learning strategies.
Until next time.
See ya.